Okay. Um, you know, one thing is just disturbing, and to see how delusional these people are, and the manipulations and how they alter reality, even alter memories in order to create this false reality. But it's just disturbing. Now, target individual. From this point on, I will always start with an introduction. And what you call it a target individual, a TI. What we are, TI, are human subjects in this program where we are being basically human subjects with test subjects, where they are utilizing us almost like guinea pigs to implement this technology. This technology is deriving from like entities coming from DARPA and those kind of like high level DoD related technology. Now, unfortunately, what they're trying to do at the same time as we're being guinea pigs is to create a psyop. You see this person, it's just the most disgusting, disturbing. I mean, listen, one thing you realize, right? And this is part of gaslighting. Gaslighting is really try to portray a falsified reality and try to act accordingly, and to the point where the target believe a falsified reality and subscribe to this falsified reality. They are super delusional, right? And they've lived this fantasy in so many disturbing ways. Now, obviously, I know the reality. I always put these things in perspective, one way or another. That's why I make videos of all sorts in regard of like what they do to me. Look, I show the manipulations they've made me experience in regard of like, oh look, I saw this ad. They made me have this reaction because there's a child there. They do this pedophilia type of torture that is systematically done to so many others, and they live these retardations of ways of manipulations. And you have to be strong. One thing is for sure is they do these things, right, where they alter even your memories, and they try to act accordingly. Listen, I'm not perfect. It's just kind of funny, in a sense, comical, I should say, how they alter these memories to change the narrations. I'm not perfect. Let me just say, the funny part is how they try to change my imperfection into these pedophilia things that they want me to experience. There's this movie, right? The movie is called Nympho, right? So you can only imagine it's about this woman who has a problem with being a nympho. I think it's nymphomania or something like that. Listen, obviously I watched this movie, and you can only imagine in this movie, just even based on the title, that you will see a lot of sexual scene, and it's just obvious that's me watching that. Let me just say that I watched this movie, and of course they try to change, and it's so disturbing. They are aiming the stimulation that I would get in this movie while I watch this movie toward anything that is pedophilia centric, meaning if there is a child, that's when they try to change it. But there's also a scene where this man is being, and they try to change this thing. This man is being questioned by this woman, right? And she's using ways to kind of try to stimulate her, but he's not being stimulated, right? But then he realized something is different about this man. He's not being stimulated toward her. She's a woman. She's a good-looking woman, but some reason, and she's at this point, like the title say, a nymphomania, and she has a lot of experience with sex, and she knows a lot about sex with men because she's been with a lot of men. Okay. So after realizing that this guy is different in the sense that he's not reacting to her in a certain way, she realized this man is not into women or even men, but children. And so she starts talking about some things about children, and this guy started getting stimulations. And then she realized that's why he was not reacting this certain way toward her, and then do whatever. Now they're trying to change that. Me being my stimulation was deriving from this moment, not the moment where she's obviously having sexual acts with a lot of men, right? They are literally changing the storylines in different ways, because today what's happening is this trash do the pedophilia type of torture. What it means now is They are forcing me to get arousals because you know that this technology, which I will, has the ability to force people to get stimulations, to get sexual stimulations and arousals. They manipulate your libido however they want. It's nasty. It is foul. But trash like that try to make you believe that this is natural. Obviously, at this point, I can bring and I'm validating in so many ways. Now, my memories right now, they're just changing, really manipulating me to be like, oh, you start stimulating. It's like, oh my gosh. Of course, I know it's falsified, but I'm feeling like my memories of it is changed into that. He's like, now that's how my memories was. Like that's how it's making me, like, they're making me feel like this is a real memory. That's when you'll get stimulated. What? Not all, but I don't want to go in details. But please understand, I know it's not true. So what they're doing, they're cutting out memories, they're manipulating memories, they're changing things around and making me have this stimulation happen there. And they try to find ways to kind of switch things around, because at one point then she performed oral sex to this guy. I'm sorry to be graphic, but that's what happened. And they're like, oh, but then you got stimulated when she's performing oral sex to him, and forcing me to imagine me being stimulated by that. Then flipping it, oh, actually all along is because she was talking about these things about kids. They just do these things, just manipulative. And they're like, no, we mapped it. Mapped is basically keyword for manipulations. They're delusional. Now I understand my brain is going to go the way it's going to go. They are nasty, foul human beings, and people like her are supposed to make me subscriptive with this. And she looked at me like with confidence, like, oh, I was like, now you pay. I was like, what? Are you serious? Do you not have self-respect when you do these things? You know, she goes in, like, you can see in her eyes, she's just like she's really like at war, like she's like, it's her doing, like, listen. let me tell you this. You are not needed for anything of this. It's not a war. It's just I'm a human subject, and they can manipulate my brain in every way they can. Matter of fact, this my memory manipulation is what they do. And now in my brain, they create this battle. I was like, okay, maybe when she was talking about the children and whatever, that didn't make you feel anything. But maybe because after that, she did some kind of sexual acts toward him. Maybe that's, and I'm like, you know, you see how stupid they're trying to do? Because that is something that is more likely that could happen. If I see a woman with a man doing something, I could have sexual stimulations. So they try to do this, then they try to change and transfer it into what she was saying. These people are delusional. But this is not it. They do this disturbing thing. This woman is just so disgusting. It's so disgusting. Because I remember having an interaction with her, and she's a coworker of some sort. And I remember when we had this first interaction, I see a child, a little baby, a little toddler, maybe 2-year-old chubby little kid, adorable little kid. Of course, the reason why she did that is because they wanted to do this pedophilia type of torture, which they call it being mapping. I was like, really? No, you manipulate my brain. But the reality is, as you know, the people that are really at war, I mean, the people who are really working on this technology, as in literally are the one creating and participating in the creation of this technology in a real way. Well, you know, those entities, filled with pedophiles. There's a problem with pedophilia in this intelligence community, from CIA to DOD to DARPA. Do you think they are mapping them? No. They're just pedophiles. While your bottom feeders are the trash contracted by these governmental entities that happen to have a lot of pedophiles, to force men and women to not only have these disturbing stimulations, but this alter reality, this alter memories that are so falsified and so illogical at the same time. And it takes somebody who becomes delusional. You know, these people literally say to me that, oh, it's our pedophilia. As in, we're going to do pedophilia type of torture, but it's coming from us, and we're fierce women. You know, and that's like, this PSYOP is disturbing. Target individual, of course, I'm not falling for the PSYOP. I understand what this is. It's a PSYOP. It's you presenting yourself this way, so I can think that this is, you know, I just saw like a target individual talking about how like there's these people who are harassing him at work, and it's a bunch of like feminists, and they are war with my masculinity. I'm like, of course they're not. They're just perps. They come in, they create some kind of psyop. They're just contracted to do what they're supposed to do. There's a whole ecosystem that pushes this creations of falsification of reality. This is part. They're involved in a program where they're supposed to make you lose your mind. They participate in whatever ways. Of course, I don't think this is a feminist against masculine. But I understand what they try to present themselves as, and how they have to dumb themselves down. This woman let me say, I don't think they're just this. I mean, there are children involved in this, but these grown women have to dumb themselves and make themselves be almost like children. It's insane to see an intelligent woman or men becoming that level of idiotic for the sole purpose to push you to accept these retardations of thoughts. I was on the call and this was happening. This guy wanted to leave. It's like, this is just too retarded. I could see it. It's like, I'm not gonna be here. I can't dumb myself down. But of course, you see yours truly over here. Oh, she looked like she was like, oh my gosh. She like smirking. I was like, do you understand how stupid that sounds like? And then it's just like, so now you try to make me think, oh, but after when the woman was giving this person's whatever sexual act, that's when it's like, okay, that's a woman with a man. Even that is falsified, because I know what you're trying to do. They try to start there and then transition into something else. They slowly built a falsified reality in that way. It's like a mind game that we're in, where they try to just break you down slowly to be acceptive of a falsification, and want to at the same time to make you agitate. So in the first place, if I'm watching a movie like that, I would expect to see, a woman with. But now they're not even doing that. They don't even, because it starts with a real young childhood, and you see her when she's like a kid, and then try to make me have stimulation, force me to get like stimulation there, when she's like a baby. It's like, what? And they're really trying to make me think, like, oh no, but you see there, it's like, oh my gosh, listen, I know what made me feel stimulation. I understand when. And there's one point, because like in movies they have like actors, right, like grown actors playing teenagers. They're adults, but they play teenager. Matter of fact, there's a guy, we all know, Shia LaBeouf. He's about my age. He's in it. He's playing a teenager. You understand? These people live this, and it's just ridiculously manipulative. But you have to be understanding that they are trying to break us down and change reality. They're not making me think of her when she's like a little girl, when it's an actual child, and like that's when you get stimulated. It's like, no, that's what you're making me experience today, and you're gonna manipulate that memory to go this way now. I understand. These people are disgusting, but it's so nasty. It's so nasty. They were, while I was like on the call with these people, they were trying to like tell me how I'm gonna be tortured and castrated. I was like, you think all of that is gonna change how dumb you have to make yourself? I understand you had to embarrass yourself in the way you will never. You are a self-respected individual, but at this point you lost that self-respect, because now you're here trying to make me be subscriptive to something that I'll never subscribe. Because one, I know myself, I've been validated. The validations are so strong that even you, in whatever retarded, you cannot even make yourself this retarded. You truly cannot make yourself this stupid. That's why they have people here, and I think these people should get paid a lot of money for it, because the level of how stupid they have to make themselves be should be compensated for the level of retardations, meaning how dumb they had to make themselves be for the time being, for the sole purpose to make me think that this makes sense. They should. Because I don't think anybody can really do this and look at themselves and respect themselves. They are doing it. And do you know what they say to counter that? Oh, wait, man. Like the things that, like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine me doing this. I'm just so thankful. And then they try to sound menacing. Listen, they are, I'm sure, because of these humiliations of what they do, which they call it provocation. No, it's not provocation. I'm just calling out the obvious. You wanted me to somehow like let you think that this makes sense? My eyes gonna hurt you? Okay, Can you imagine these retardations of thoughts that you're forcing me? You are forcing men and women to be stimulated toward children. And then you manipulate members in these levels, and then you call it being at war when obviously you're not at war. We're just human test subjects. And even babies are being tortured by you lowlifes. Yes, my eye hurts. And you do these nasty manipulations of the mind in these pedophilia ways. I'll scream, you know what? You torture infants. You torture babies. And you torture a lot of women. Just for the purpose of developing this technology. You're not at war. Maybe you're at war with your conscience. You're at war with reality. You're at war with everything else but the target. Because the targets were, at this point was just like, I don't want to demoralize anybody, but let's just say that we are against a governmental entity and we are civilians. So it's not us they are at war with. That's for sure. They are at war with everything else but us. Which I'm sure is probably their conscience, maybe the way they want to perceive themselves. All of that is maybe what they are at war with, but not a war with us target individuals, because this is not a war. You see this person, you see the way she look, we're gonna get you. It's like, get me, what? What? Like, really? They would tell me I was dead on August 19, 2019, and I think they literally were saying that it's over. Once you on this, once your brain is in this system, it's over. They literally said this. We have your brain. You're ours now. Like this, literally say like we have your brain. It's done. I of course didn't understood what this person was saying. She was like, we have your brain. It's over. Kill yourself. That's what I was told, and I think it was over for me way before that. It was over for me way before that. It was over when somebody in 2016, 2017 was looking at me. It's like, hey, you enjoy your last meal? I remember he didn't even say last meal per se. I remember like he's used in a different vocabulary term. I think is when you are about to go to the death penalty. Yeah, when you're about to get killed in the death penalty, they give you the last meal. I forgot the name of it, and I wasn't familiar with that terminology. I googled. I was like, what do you mean the last meal? What? And he looked at me smirking. I think at that point he knew that he's over. And then ever since then, they were like, oh yeah, you're just a dead man walking. So you see this trash, like, no, we are at war. Now you're dead. You're such a trash and fraud. And I know what you guys do to women. I know what you guys do to children. I know the reality. And that's why every time I can, I'll make these videos, which put things in perspective instead of your fantasy and this illogic ways of thinking. There's a video of mine which I call the matching, which basically is the typical videos you'll see. It's a video showing what they've made me experience in regard of, like, I saw this ad, there was a picture of this wholesome moment, now they're doing these things to me. I'll go through the different testimonials. They say they mapped it to me, and I saw the picture of me when I was a kid, and they talk about this is how you felt when you were a kid. I talk about they forced me, and like, no, they removed it because there was like sexual content or some of which what? On YouTube, these people live a distorted reality and want me to subscribe to this distorted reality. When in reality, it's one of these trash gang stalkers or perps who try to disturb me in these ways. Any videos that are too close to home in regard of like how obvious these things is to be that stupid to think that this makes sense. That with all the testimonials that people are talking about systematically saying that they are a tactic of utilizing pedophilia to torment us target individuals, which is used onto so many of us. How do you want me to subscribe to these retardations of way mapping? You making me think like the way I was thinking when I was as a child. And so they don't like that because I'm putting things in perspective. They want to live in that retardation of fantasies. So that's why I make the same videos over and over with different titles. Different pictures of who they've forced me to get these disturbing reactions toward. These babies, this whatever. It's the same thing. But in my mind, they're like, no, yeah, that was this and that. I'm like, wow. But they truly try to sell this reality. Now, target individuals, just like all my other videos, please listen to what they do and how obvious these disturbing manipulations are.
There's people that will carry the V2K. So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis, that people will believe something other than a massive government could do this.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a search.
I too believe my experience is referred to as no-touch torture, utilizing defense technologies. Jonathan Marino, he basically predicted all this a number of years ago in his book Undue Risk. I'm asking you to help initiate a congressional investigation. We've all come a long way. This is what is needed. We want to have the accounts of this extreme human rights abuse that's going on in our country documented and heard, all of the accounts. We also need what was done during the Clinton administration, which is a major declassification of some of these documents that are hiding what's been going on. I speak for many when I say we've suffered long enough. My personal experience has been 10 years. I've been vilified. I've been ostracized. I've been tortured. I have burns on my body. I'm an American. I have rights. The answer to the question, the big question today, could it happen today? The answer is yes, it is happening today. It is happening for some of us every day.
Which has impacted men, women, children all around the world.
Hi, I'm Wan from Malaysia. My family are targeted individuals. We are victims of cyber torture. And I will not give up. I will fight to the end.
And I'm a victim of organized
We need this to stop.
electronic harassment. And I'm speaking to you on International Targeted Individual Day. I live in the U.S., in Illinois, and I'm a victim of organized
We need this to stop.
electronic harassment, microwave torture,
I've been targeted for 9 years.
24/7.
Please become more aware of this crime and those that the crime is being committed against. We need your support and help in ending this crime.
Hello, my name is Wendy Brown. I'm a targeted individual who is living in New Zealand, but my targeting began in California. I'm an American citizen, and the targeting continues in New Zealand. I'm making this video in remembrance of Targeted Individual Day, our 3rd annual Targeted Individual Day. And I'm asking that every honest-hearted human being open their eyes to a crime.
My name is Jeanette. I am 56 years old and I live in Baltimore, Maryland. I am a victim of covert electronic harassment and torture. I am a targeted individual.
wishes to hand down.
Why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. It's brutally painful. I have a house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, first floor, second floor, 2 garage, backyard, land, everything. Can't live in my house. My neighbors are shooting direct energy weapons through my house. I hold my heart like this. You know why? Because it hurts. I need help. I need you guys to come get me. Come get me. Oh, Lord, because I think I'm dying. I'm making this video
in an attempt to expose this horrific nightmare.
Hello, I'm making this video to honor the 3rd annual Targeted Individual Day. That's August 29th, 2020. My name is Linda Marie Sharp in Mendocino County, California, United States. I am a targeted person and have been for over 12 years. I am electronically tortured by directed energy weapons.
Hi, my name is Lisa Davis, and I'm in Duluth, Minnesota. I am a targeted individual.
Injustice.
You mean as far as the Justice Department feeling me?
Well, in terms of your being a victim.
You mean what I'm feeling?
Yeah, explain a little bit to me how you perceive yourself as being.
I have actual photographs of burns on my body. When I went to my doctor, the response was, how do I know you didn't do that to yourself? How do you even address that? I've passed 2 psychological evaluations, not 1 but 2. The one physician said, you're mentally sound as a bell. He said, I don't have any idea what's going on with you. When I go to sleep, when I go to try to sleep, I feel like I'm being lit up like a Christmas tree. I feel every cell in my body just bouncing out of my body. I can't even describe it. I get electric shock up my rectum. I get electric shock up my nose. I've woken up with burns on the end of my tongue. I've had burns on the palms of both of my hands. They vibrate. I vibrate. I can barely hold a piece of paper without quivering. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to find what's the source of
The source are these exotic weapons. They talk about in 2970 that if you would pass it, it might give other communities the courage to do the same thing and show our Defense Department we are not the enemy. We are not to be attacked. We are not terrorists. Most of us are defenseless women.
The sensation of something going up my crotch and in and out, etc. They also often force vaginal discharges and zap my genitals at the same time. These sexual assaults are present throughout the day, every day, and anytime I am awakened at night, every night. They range from mild to extreme, but usually involve daily and nightly continuous assaults for the past 3 years now. When severe, the zaps to the genitals feel as though someone is electrocuting my genitals repeatedly.
Female said the same thing. Don't get shot in the face. You know, stupid shit like that. But what I really noticed is, with the Voices Skull, it's a bunch of females. You know, and I'm like, bro, really? You're not a woman. What real woman would stalk another female or sit back and
house any information on the brain of a person, presumably by some kind of waves, which in the mind take the form of voices, thoughts and images and imagination. In addition to this kind of implanting information that they need, they manipulate the psyche so that the information is written into your memory. Then by stimulating the certain regions in the brain, they can retrieve this information and present it as your own memory. This is the conclusion that can be made judging by the influence they have been making on me with their psychotronic weapons, for example, artificial thoughts, imagination, and mental torture.
The body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal, or it can sort of
being where suddenly I've been wakened up at 3 o'clock in the mornings and some kind of voice comes and say phrases, sound incomprehensible, and some other times can actually catch what is saying, ITS not my voice, a different voice, and I realize that they are trying to program for me to take it in a way that I won't notice a possible change in my behavior. Of course this is not new, because one main thing this program is out there, is called behavior modification for the undesirable, and that's one of the excuses this groups give for the neighbor TO join, deception. to talk back in my mind during the process when I was awakened, and I would say demeaning things that I cannot repeat it in this blog. You know what I mean. Since they had violated me for so long, I decided to aggravate them with words in my mind. I can hear my own voice. I told them I'm going to make you pay for all of the years of torture that I've taken, and all you are going to hear is aggravation. For every single second of my privacy that you have taken away. From me and my family. Ben said the slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing. And then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS. So just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use. A people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them I usually called demeaning names, and one of them is referring to homosexuals. For me all of the slaves are misfits, society haters, scumbags, etc. No, I don't have anything personal against them, homosexuals, but as my way to aggravate the slaves, and since they love to use children for the torture and stalking, street theater etc. Especially teenagers for the stalking at close range with an attitude, they are using them during my sleep in the perversion program, and so you can imagine what the slaves of torture are pretending to do to me. In the last days, as today September 9th, 07, anything I do, either watching TV or reading of whatever I'm doing, they brush me sort of say, I feel like I'm aroused all day and I feel the palpitations in my genitals for what I'm thinking, and since the attack comes so quickly, I realized my programming has been set on auto, in their central computers, no
trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind, putting thoughts of pedophilia. This disgusting things. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting things that I don't even want to talk about because it makes me sick. I don't even like those words in my mind. But it is what it is.
This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just
sample images. Almost all targets are forced to view child pornography in their minds.
odorants. This is the alteration of the smell sensation, so that I am often made to smell various things, including smoke, burning, dirty diaper, or baby powder, which they sometimes combine with the pedophilia type of torture. I also often see highly disturbing pornographic images and videos, including highly disturbing pedophilia type of images and videos when I close my eyes.
In 2016, Daniel Payne, a top Pentagon security official, said that when workers' computers were examined, the amount of child porn I see is just unbelievable. Is this something that is happening for whatever reason with more frequency in our intelligence agencies, or is this something that is more pervasive in the general population than I originally realized? I mean, what's going on here? This is so bizarre and so evil.
Allie, we're told, and when I was put through recruitment into the intel community, you're put through polygraphs, you're put through a rigorous selection process. Why aren't these people weeded out? Why are so many pedophiles allowed to be given top-level security clearance? Remember, these aren't just people walking in off the street and saying, hey, can I get hired? Can I get a job? You're put through an extremely rigorous background check screening process. It's called an SSBI, single scope background investigation. There are people, they interview you, they interview your family, they interview your contacts, they go through your online footprint, they go through everything. So why is it that when they're going through these footprints, they're not checking, these digital footprints, they're not checking for so many pedophiles getting through their ranks? If it were up to me, you need to go into Congress, and Congress needs to launch a brand new church committee, number one, to talk about domestic surveillance operations, but number two, to ask the question, why are there so many pedophiles sitting behind
language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic. And they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day. They made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "Ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. And I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair.
And have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side.
Lotion all over my bathroom floor. All I wanted to do was just get on a plane and get the hell away from everybody. And I was, very, very sick and in a lot of pain. I had already been denied a rape kit when I owned my house, and woke up and my hair had obviously been pulled out and there were earplugs in my bed. And I felt like someone had done something. I went to Palos Community Hospital under the directions of a non-compromised police officer who told me that if anything happened to go right to the hospital. So I did. And I had a compromised doctor who treated me like a third-rate citizen and said she would give me an STD test and a drug test. But she refused me a rape kit.
So they'll say, we're the Russian government, we're the Chinese government, we're evil aliens, we're Satan's, satanic ritual abuse. And I've heard all the stories. One guy believed it was some 14-year-old kid with an Xbox that lived next door. The trickery really is that great when you're under hypnosis that people will believe something other than a massive government.
So you understand the validation I have in every ways, in regard of how they try to create the PSYOP, try to present themselves when in certain ways, when in reality we know who's behind this. It's not these people who try to make it seem like it's something, when in reality the people behind it are governmental. And also how they have done horrible things to some of the most vulnerable. We're talking about infants, children, and women all around the world. And I said that clearly as I was there speaking for TI for the 2020 TI Day. And you can see there's a bunch of women also speaking up on that day. And also you understand that the manipulations, you're going to hear the PSYOP type of torture being mentioned, that they're forcing people to react in these disturbing ways in regard like the way you think, and even stimulations are forced onto you that are aimed toward children. And you hear this person saying literally they are trying to change who I am with this disturbing pedophilia type of torture or these pedophilia thoughts that they're forcing me to experience. And it's the same with me. Now, while I was like listening to this and recording this, they were trying to like counter all of these things that you heard. First of all, using like, oh, this is going to happen to you. We do this and that. We are this group of fatale feminists protecting our community, our women, our children. And then they will be like, they start making me think of this person that you see in front of me. I remember when I couldn't believe that she used her own like whatever niece or the cousin to try to create this disturbing pedophilia things, which you know what they say? It's like, no, we mapped it to you when you were a child. And I remember describing this thing is like, what they do is like they try to mimic a feeling that you can feel familiar to you, but add this nasty sexual stimulations, and thus is a mimic a feeling that you experienced when you were a child, and then implant this extra stimulation that's sexual to say, you see, we mapped it to you when you were a kid. I'm talking about like middle school and younger, much younger. We're talking about even as young as 9 years old, and say, no, we're mapping. Well, I'm in my 30s. In the first place, why? How the F can you even make sense of that? You can't. I'm a grown man. That's not how the reality is. While you guys are trying to make me subscribe to that, the reality is the entities really running this program have a problem with pedophilia. That's why I'm being told I'm going to be burning. This is why I heard somebody just whisper via V2K saying, burn. Because I'm saying that the problem in these entities running this trash, that contracted this trash here, who are whispering, burn, happen to have a problem with pedophilia. So I would gladly burn for that. I'd rather burn and jump in the fire than be involved in a program that literally tries to force somebody to have a sexual stimulation toward children, and I happen to work for entities that happen to have a lot of pedophiles in these agencies. Death comes to all of us. Burning, stabbing, whatever it goes to. I'd rather go through that than having to do what they do. I'm just thankful to that, to God, that I never had to live the way they live. And in my mind right now, they try to bring up, remember what you did as a kid. It's like, listen, you know how stupid a child is. First of all, I'm so thankful that I'm not here being a program that is doing these horrible things you heard about children. I mean, we're talking about sexual torture of a 3-year-old boy, sexual torture of Down syndrome children, 4-5-year-olds sexually tortured by this technology that can do so much remotely, as they're saying that they're doing something to my tongue to create some kind of reactions, and also to do that to a 7-year-old child, even infants, suffocating them while trying to be like, no, it's you pay for what you did as a kid. Can you imagine that? And having to exaggerate what I did as a child while forcing me as an adult man to be reactive toward children in these disturbing ways. And to counter reality, I will sue you. It's like, yes, you'll sue me, you'll frame me, you'll torture me in whatever ways, but you'll also torture children and women. And when I mean you, not you. Because they want to distance themselves from this program that torture women and children. And some of them have more expertise than others. So when they talk to me, some of them are like, oh, because it's my first time involving myself in the program that torture women and children, you know. Did I do that? Yes, you do that. And when I mean you. So I'd rather be framed, tortured, fried up than not be able to say Roy Moore, which is a pedophile name they can say, to be involved in a program that torture women and children, and being cowards that even torture infants and try to counter that. Death comes to all of us. I would die this way than do what you do and then die.